This video is sponsored by Dubby Energy. I recently had the pleasure to partner up with these guys, and here's the sponsored segment now.
Dubby Energy is an all-natural substitute to your everyday commercial energy drinks. They are a direct competitor to the likes of Sneak and G Fuel, rising very fast in popularity. While most average energy drinks contain synthetic caffeine and flavorings, Dubby is made up entirely of natural flavors and natural caffeine. You can now use my 10% discount code to use with your first order. The code will be in the description of this video along with a link to their website where you can place your first order. Trust me, you won't be disappointed. Thank you W Energy for sponsoring this video.
Yo, what's going on? This is Cunt Blood. Hope you are all doing well. Today I will be doing a little track breakdown, and it'll be of the most recent track that I've released. And I decided to remake the theme song to 28 Days Later. It is one of my favorite movies of all time in that specific genre. And ever since I've heard the soundtrack, the very first time I heard the theme song, I was already hooked on it. It is one of my favorite pieces of music. So I decided, why not remake it in my own style, the way I kind of feel the song progressing. So the first thing I did with this song, if you haven't already heard it, I recommend you listen to it. There will be a link to my SoundCloud and the song in the description. Let's begin with the very first thing I did was the piano. Um, and I'll say this: I don't have super expensive plugins or anything. Um, I tend to use mostly stock plugins for most of my things, but um, nevertheless, we have a piano section. So this is the bear with me. I am using a um, touchpad on my laptop to do this because I have broken my mouse. So the very first thing I did was composed a little piano piece. I say compose, but I actually just put down the MIDI notes. I already know the composition mostly off by heart, so this was fairly easy to do. This is what the piano sounded like. So that is the first beginning piano section, and I layered that with a little atmosphere type ambient effects that I got off of Splice. Um, the effects that I have on that is literally just an EQ. It is just cutting the low end a little bit so that it doesn't get muddy. Um, on the piano, the effects I have is an EQ, reverb, and a compressor. EQ is just kind of shaping the piano a little bit. Um, it's an ambient preset that I've made. Um, if you want to copy the settings, you can. Um, and the other effects is just a compressor, just to kind of boost the volume a little bit overall. The stock FL piano is a little quiet, so I like to use a little bit of compression to give it a little bit more oomph. So that's the little intro section, the first part that I just played. And then on this part, I also have this tonal hit, which is again from Splice. Pretty much all the samples that I use here are almost all of them are from Splice. Some of them are from sample packs that I've bought. Some of them are just samples that I've gathered. This is what this sounds like. So it just gives it that nice cinematic effect. And this is kind of the exact thing I was going for with this. It's a cinematic metal song. Now we go move on to the next section. It transitions with a sample from Kashmir, and it is a reverse symbol, the reverse crash symbol, and it leads to an impact, another impact, and the tonal cinematic type hit. That's what it sounds like altogether. In the next section, I elevated the piano a little bit. I progressed it, and it sounds like this. So I just added a couple of notes in there. Just makes it a little more interesting, in my opinion. And then it is layered again with the ambience, the cinematic hits, and here we have a little reverse sample. There isn't really any effects on that one except some reverb. And then here we have a little guitar sample that I got from Splice again. Sounds really nice when it's layered. Here in the next section, we have some orchestral drums that is from Kashmir's sample pack that I bought, and I have layered. This is the secret sauce here I have for my layers. I actually took the melody from the original Call of Duty Zombies and I put it down to the right key, played it a little higher, and then I layered it with the actual piano from 28 Days Later. And it just makes it sound really, really nice. And then the next section here, we've got a little break. But we also have, here I forgot to mention, we have a marching snare. And then right at the end, we have a drum fill. Those drums you're hearing right there, that's from Ragnar Drums. It's a plugin for drums specifically for metal music. And that leads into the next section right here, which is just a little break. So we have another impact sound, a couple of reverse sounds, uh, and we have the Call of Duty type melody playing here that leads to the next section, which is the main section. In the next section, we're a little build-up guitar, or a little reverse guitar that I have here. That leads right into the next section, which is the main section. I will turn down my master just a little bit for the video. So in this section, it sounds like a lot, but it really isn't. Let me break it down. We have the same piano pretty much the same piano that plays the melody, the main melody. We have the Call of Duty type piano here. We've got all the same kind of effects, just layered a little differently, laid out a little differently. We have this choir that I got also from Splice. And then I layered that with some guitars. We have some guitars over here. And the plugin I used for the guitars is Odin 3. It just plays a very basic pattern. And we also have the bass guitar. And we have a sub bass, which you will only be able to hear if you're wearing headphones, probably, or have really good speakers. But the sub bass is there just to reinforce the actual bass guitar and the sub frequencies. And then I have the Ragnar drums here. Playing a very basic pattern. I came up with the drums myself. I am a drummer. I just don't have the equipment to record drums live right now, so I have to make do with what I have. And all of that is layered, and it leads into the next section where I added a lead guitar, which is playing tremolo notes and basically just alternate picking. And again, that is from Odin 3. I just had a couple of effects on that and came up with the tone myself. And then it leads to the next section, which I took out the guitars completely, and it's playing pretty much the same thing. I just took out some elements and made it sound a little more empty, kind of, just to give it a little bit of a variety. And that leads into the next section, which is pretty much the same exact section as this section here, except that the lead guitars are there all the time. And the very end measure has this lead that I created, and it is in the style of Doom by Mick Gordon. It's a lead that I use quite a lot in a lot of my metal music. It's just playing a very simple melody that goes over the top, and it sounds like this. You can't really hear it, but it's there kind of more as a texture. And that leads into the next section, which is the break of the song. Now, in here, I took out pretty much all the elements except the ambience, the cinematic hits. I wanted it to be kind of intense, and at first, I wanted it to sound very calm, almost like it's building up to something. And then eventually, it has like these cinematic hits and makes it sound really, really cool. So in this section, I kind of came up with it, and I wanted it to sound again, kind of like influenced by Call of Duty soundtracks, because this song idea that I had for this was a fusion between 28 Days Later and Call of Duty Zombies, and since this is the kind of thing that you would hear, this is the kind of thing I'd imagine you could hear in a soundtrack that would be made for Call of Duty, especially with these this little industrial loop that I have here, again from Splice. It just brings the entire section together. And it leads to this bit is exactly the same as this bit at the beginning here. And it leads to the main section again with the lead part, the Doom lead part, kind of like the texture. You can hear that texture lead a little more in that section. And then the second part of that just got the lead guitar again, and right into an outro where everything slowly fades out and finishes the song. So we have the Call of Duty piano here. We've got the piano from the intro, and then right at the end here, we finish it off with the Call of Duty piano with the ambience slowly fading out to finish off the song. So yeah, that was the breakdown of my reimagination of 28 Days Later. Thank you for watching the video, and I hope you enjoyed it. I will be back doing more videos like this, and remember, there's a discount code in the description for 10% off to W Energy on your first order. Thanks for watching the video again. See you guys later. Bye.